I know it's hard, I know it's complicated, but I promised you I've been waiting here forever. I had a much to say, but you're not here with me. No, we're invincible, like fire in the snow. Trust me when I say you are my beautiful world, and I'm feeling it all. We should make an effort. It's true you're so far away, and it's true you don't feel the same. But if you take my hand, we can try and go back. Starting from scratch, I won't let you go. No, I can't let you go, 'cause you're my gravity, and I will never leave. I won't let you go. No, baby, I will not, because I still believe you're my gravity. You will never be what I expected. Different frequencies, that's why we ain't connected. You know I will make it through. I got nothing to lose but you. It's true you're so far away, and it's true I can feel the same. It's another day, you know you want me to stay, but I go my way. I won't let you go. No, I can't let you go, 'cause you're my gravity, and I will never leave. I won't let you go. No, baby, I will not, because I still believe you're my gravity. You're my gravity. You're calling out my name, but the echo numbs your pain. Sorry, but more than just a shadow, I'm more than just a man. You don't care how I feel, you don't know how I feel. No, you don't know how. I wash away the sorrow till my heart can beat again. You're my gravity. No, you're my gravity. I will let you go. The only thing that I know, you were my gravity, but now I had to leave. I will let you go. Why do you think that I want? Why do you think that I want? I know how to breathe into my gravity. 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 I know it's hard, I know it's complicated, but I promised you I've been waiting here forever. I had a much to say, but you're not here with me. No, we're invincible, like fire in the snow. Trust me when I say you are my beautiful world, and I'm feeling it all. We should make an effort. It's true you're so far away, and it's true you don't feel the same. But if you take my hand, we can try and go back. Starting from scratch, I won't let you go. No, I can't let you go, 'cause you're my gravity, and I will never leave. I won't let you go. No, baby, I will not.
Warning. The Duracell Cup Series data file you have attempted to access is out of date. Uploading current file now.
It's a brand new car from stem to stern, and it's never been raced at these speeds.
The next gen car is opportunity.
Everything is different with the exception of like the seat, the steering wheel, and your helmet.
Unknown creates excitement.
Talking about my generation.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome here as we get ready for pole day qualifying in preparation for race number 34 of season 8 of the NNSCRA Duracell Next Gen Cup Series. This is playoff race number 8 as we are one step closer to determining who the other 3 Final Four contenders will be for this season's championship. I say 3 because we already know who one of them are going to be. Last week at Boston International Speedway, we saw Daniel Voiles go to victory lane for the second time this season and secure himself a spot into running for the championship here in 3 weeks' time when we get to the Irish Hills of Michigan. Who is going to join him? We could know another individual as soon as tomorrow afternoon, with this being a wild card racetrack at Daytona. Now, one thing that we do know is that it will not be our Daytona 500 winner, Matt Haas. He was most recently eliminated back during the last round of the playoffs. Haas will obviously be looking for his 4th victory on the season. Will look to sweep here at Daytona International Speedway, but the odds are also not in favor, really, of a playoff driver going to victory lane. We've got 8 drivers currently still in the hunt. One of them obviously has moved on. So if you take Daniel Voiles out of the equation for right now, that is 7 drivers out of 42 starters here tomorrow afternoon. That's a 1 in 6 chance. The odds are not really in favor of a playoff driver winning their way into the next round, which is going to put a huge emphasis, I do believe, on points, which in turn means it's going to put a lot of emphasis on at least finishing well here in preparation for Rockingham. We got to get started here with knockout qualifying, though, as I believe we have 7 drivers that have shown up this race weekend in the attempts of getting into one of the 2 non-charter slots in this weekend's starting lineup. We've got our usual drivers. I believe there are 4 regular drivers that show up each and every week, and I believe there are 3 non-charter drivers that are part-time that have shown up here this weekend as well. Looking at Autumn Brooks, looking to pull the double here this weekend. We're going to see her later on this afternoon in the Light Series race here from Daytona. Autumn looking to make her 21st start on the season. A very impressive season for Autumn Brooks, even if maybe the numbers in terms of finishing results are not there. 3 top 5s, 5 top 10s on the season, average finishing position of around 23rd, 24th. But impressive nonetheless in the fact that we've ended up seeing Autumn Brooks be able to qualify for a number of races with a lot of go or go homers showing up in some of these race weekends. Of course, we're going to be keeping an eye during the off season, see if Garage 55 brings her back. Do they get a charter? A lot of teams looking for charters here during the off season for sure, as it will be interesting to see what the landscape looks like from Season 8 into Season 9. Chris Dallerton, another driver that's looking to pull off the double here this weekend. We already saw him yesterday afternoon in the pole day qualifying for the Light Series, coming into Daytona as the most recent winner. That was a couple of weeks ago at Arizona. Dallerton, I believe, is starting top 10 here later on this afternoon in that Light Series race. And he's in the 82 Whataburger Dark Horse Mustang for Blue Oval Automotive here this weekend on the Cup side. Dallerton, a former Cup Series champion from the inaugural season, Season 1. Kyle Langland, he'll be in that Light Series race as well. Playoff contender in the Light Series championship hunt. Kyle in the World NOS Racing Dark Horse Mustang. As I believe we've got lap times starting to scroll in with a little over 2 minutes remaining. Langland is looking to make his 9th start in the Cup Series. Bryce Egan right now is top of the board in that Air Jordan Toyota Camry out of Haas Racing. We mentioned Matt Haas is the last winner here at Daytona in the season opening Daytona 500. So you got to bet that they brought some good speed in the non-charter Toyota Camry out of the same stable. Bryce is looking to make his 15th start on the season. Nathan Fogler, we'll see him in the Light Series race here later on this afternoon. Looking to make his 2nd start on the season. We saw him make his debut back at Donkey Kong Jungle Raceway. Looking to, I believe this is the 3rd or 4th attempt he has made for a Cup Series start. Right now, 6th fastest, though, in that single car entry. And then Bishop Family Racing has brought the All-Star car back out here for this race. That's Mike Tellier in the 43, looking to qualify for this one. Tellier qualified for the Daytona 500. Looking to make his 3rd start on the season. Right now, though, it all comes down to who has the benefit of draft. Hiccup Bush with a minute remaining. Right now, 6th fastest on the board. The other non-charter World NOS Racing entry as he improves his lap time, but not his positioning. Still 6th fastest. Hiccup is looking to make his 5th start in the Cup Series, as right now, top of the board would be Bryce Egan, who is also going to be in the Light Series race here. He's in the Trackhouse Racing All-Star car in the Light Series race later on this afternoon. And right now, he and Kyle Langland have found each other. They've been able to put down good draft laps there. A 45.419 for Bryce Egan. A 45.359 for Kyle Langland. Has them the 2 fastest right now, and more than likely going to have them be the 2 transferees. I don't really think anybody else is anywhere close to be able to draft with each other now, so I think it's going to be these 2. All comes down to timing in super speedway qualifying, especially when you have a smaller pack, a smaller field like we have here for the non-charter drivers. We'll see a lot more draft laps when we have 42 cars on the track here in the 2nd round of qualifying coming right up. But Langland and Egan, a couple of full-time non-charter rookies. Zeros are on the clock. I don't know if they're going to score this next lap, but Egan may get a huge tow here off of Dallerton. Let's see if they count this lap time or not. I don't think it's going to change anything in terms of who's transferring and who's not, but will be interesting to see with that scenario of the 93 behind him, the 82 allowing him that draft. Do they count this lap here for Egan? No, they don't. Okay, so we don't get to find out. So Egan's going to make his 15th start. Langland's going to make his 9th. Egan with 4 top 10s in his previous 14 starts. And Langland, 2 top 5s, 3 top 10s in his previous 8. So really the only 2 drivers with the benefit of draft that were able to hit anything lower than a 47-second lap time. See Mike Tellier, Chris Dollerton, Autumn Brooks, Hiccup Bush, Nathan Fogler. If we were just going off of single car speed, it would have been the Fords of Tellier and Dollerton. Would have been interesting to see where Langland and Egan stacked up in relation to that. But as mentioned, it comes down to timing, and they timed it perfectly to be able to be on the track in the same vicinity at the same time. So they get the benefit of draft, and they will make up the remainder of our 42 car starting lineup later on this weekend. We got to find out where exactly in the lineup they're going to be, though, as they'll join the other 40 chartered drivers here in just a moment for our second and final round of qualifying from Daytona. That'll be coming up right after this quick break. Don't go anywhere. Thank you for tuning in to today's broadcast on NNSCRA TV. If you enjoyed your watching, it would help us out a lot if you'd hit that like button. Also, if you're not already, be sure to subscribe to become a part of the NNSCRA crew today. And if you're on your phone, be sure to click that bell to be notified whenever we have a broadcast here on NNSCRA TV. Once again, we thank you for your support, and we hope you continue to enjoy today's broadcast. Alrighty, this is usually the randomest of qualifying sessions when we do it at a super speedway, but we're getting ready to find out who's going to nab the pole position here for our middle race of this round of 8 in the playoffs. Session's begun, 10 minutes on the clock. We talked about this in the Light Series race here, or the qualifying event for the Light Series, I should say, here yesterday. It's a super speedway. You can, if you've got the right line, the right momentum, the right people to work with, you can work your way from middle of the field, rear of the field, up to the front. Track position is not really a key component when it comes to super speedway racing, outside of maybe two things on the line here in this qualifying session. One, if you qualify on the pole, you've got that number 1 pit stall, which could be very important when pit stops take place and maybe getting the launch you need, if not getting the race lead, gaining a ton of track position after pit stops are completed in preparation for a restart. The other thing, too, is middle of the pack is normally where we'll end up seeing the really tight racing that could bring out the dreaded big one. And if you're a playoff driver, you want to have yourself well away, specifically in front of that incident. So in terms of qualifying here, that could be why these drivers want to put down that optimal lap time and start as close to the front of the field as they possibly can. Michael Norman in the WWE number 22 Dark Horse Mustang out of Michael Norman Motorsports. Looks like he's going to be the benchmark driver here to put down the first official lap time of this session. Michael Norman, of course, was a playoff contender back in the first round, got eliminated in said first round. He sits 14th in points at this current time. We talked about this in the Light Series as well, about drivers that aren't battling in the playoffs, just trying to finish out the season as high as they can, possibly can, in the point standings. It's the same deal for the drivers in the playoffs here on the Cup side that have gotten eliminated in each one of these rounds. For Eric Sadler, Michael Norman, Nathan Ormond, and Summer Henson, they want to finish 13th in the standings by the end of the season. For the drivers that just recently got eliminated back during the round of 12, like Matt Haas, Ryan Brommer, Levi McIntyre, James Qualls, they want to finish 9th in the point standings. And in the case of our round of 8 here, whoever the 4 drivers are that are going to get eliminated, they're going to want to finish out the season 5th in the point standings. There's still a goal for these drivers, despite the fact they're no longer going to be battling for the championship trophy. And want to again here spotlight Anthony McCurry this weekend. If you didn't tune into our Lights Series qualifying session here yesterday, we ended up getting very sad news here in the NR community that Anthony McCurry's mother passed away. The time of this recording is on Monday, August 4th. And it was this morning that Anthony's mother passed away peacefully in her sleep. We want to send out our heartfelt condolences to Anthony McCurry, Kenny McCurry, the entire McCurry family at this time. See if you can find some playoff drivers here. There's a couple of them. Carson Gum, Destin Bolin, nose to tail. You can see the gold playoff spoilers on these machines, indicating they still are in the hunt for the championship. Carson Gum coming into this one 7th in the standings after last week at Boston. We'll be talking a lot about 4th in the standings cut line. And Carson is 6 points below said cut line. Destin Bolin, 4-time winner on the season. He is the cut line driver. He is 4th in the standings coming into this one, so he will be basically the benchmark for drivers here when they take the green tomorrow afternoon. One driver that is going to be worry-free here this weekend at Daytona, next week at Rockingham, is Daniel Voiles. We saw him go to victory lane last week at the Boston International Speedway. His 2nd win on the season off of his road course win at Sonoma. That victory last week was important because it locked him up a spot in the Final Four. He will compete for the championship here in 3 weeks' time when we get to Michigan. Looking to get World NOS Racing its first championship here in Duracell Next Gen Cup Series competition. We saw just moments ago his teammate Kyle Langland qualify for this race, so he'll have another teammate to be able to work with. As hey, Daniel Voiles would love to head into the Final Four as a 3-time winner. He'd love to pick up back-to-back wins here in Season 8. Keep an eye on him. He's got nothing to lose here tomorrow afternoon, since he knows he's already going to be running for a championship. Nick Gunther, he's 6th in the point standings coming this one, only 2 points below the cut line. He had a, we'll say 50-50 run at Boston. Was a driver that looked like he was going to spend most of that race in the rear of the field, but was able to find a little something there in the closing stages, gained some track position, and had a decent finish far and above what it was looking like he was going to get. That keeps him at least in the conversation to maybe win or point his way into the Final Four. Doesn't look like we got any of our playoff contenders here in this group. There's one of them there, Alexander Rowe. And the 46. Rowe had maybe the best finish outside of Daniel Voiles' win last week at Boston. Because of that, he is 2nd in the point stands, and he's got himself a 12-point cushion back to 4th in the standings. Looking to build off of that here at Daytona. There is the possibility for some drivers, Alexander Rowe, RJ Bishop, maybe even Destin Bolin. If you don't get a win, if you have a good run here, you could maybe build enough of a mathematical buffer between you and the cut line that it makes your job easier going into Rockingham to be able to advance. Jack Mitchell, another driver kind of like Nick Gunther. He ran at the back of the pack most of the day at Boston. I think he finished 20th, if I recall correctly, which was not indicative of the speed of that race car during the entirety of that event. He ended up coming away with a much better finish than we kind of originally thought he was going to get. But he did drop 3 spots in the standings because of that 20th place finish. He is currently only 1 point below the cut line of Destin Bolin. It is super close around that cut line with drivers like RJ Bishop, Destin Bolin, Jack Mitchell, Nick Gunther, Carson Gum. Keep an eye on those drivers during the course of tomorrow afternoon's race. Reggie Fogelman, we'll be keeping an eye on him because he was a driver that was absolutely solid back during the round of 12. However, his kickoff here to the round of 8 has been anything but solid as he finished the worst of the playoff drivers last week at Boston. He is subsequently the worst of the playoff drivers points-wise coming to this one. He dropped from points leader to start off this round of 8 to now 8th in the standings, lost 7 spots. He is a total right now of 17 points below the cut line coming into this race weekend. Now, we did see Bryce Egan qualify into this event. Matt Haas is the Daytona 500 winner from Season 8. This is a Haas Racing Toyota entry. Just keep an eye. You got to think all that information might help Reggie Fogelman in trying to get himself above that cut line, or at least close to the conversation of around that cut line, heading into the elimination race next week at Rockingham. Speaking of Matt Haas, there is our Daytona winner to begin the season. Right now, 7th fastest for that driver as he looks to sweep at this super speedway. Believe there is one other driver we have not highlighted of our playoff contenders. See if we can find him here. There he is. I was gonna say, did I miss him? But he's on pit road. RJ Bishop in the 98. We're gonna see him actually later on this afternoon as he's taking part in the Light Series race. But he comes into this race third in points. Had a decent run last week at Boston International. He is 7 points to the good above the cut line, but right now they're not having a whole lot of speed out of that race car with less than a minute remaining as he currently sits 39th of 42 cars. And I just realized I haven't had the ticker up for the live scoring the entirety of this session, so you'll start to see those lap times cycling in here in just a moment. You're looking at the non-charter qualifying times. They will recycle here in just a few moments. Michael Norman was the first driver out, and normally we end up not seeing that pan out to them being top of the board. That's not the case. Michael Norman is the fastest here at his home track of Daytona. Another Daytona native right in front of him there in Cody Lamas. That is second fastest. So we may have an all Floridian front row for a Florida race here in the playoffs. Connor Breton right now is third, Anthony McCurry in fourth, Eric Sadler in fifth. You have only, well, I was going to say you have only one playoff driver inside of the top 10. Make that now the top 5. Nick Gunther just jumped from 10th to 5th on the board with zeros on the clock. So Norman looking for his second win on the season. Cody still looking for his first. Looks like they are going to share the front row here, Ford and Chevrolet, for tomorrow afternoon's Cup Series race here from Daytona. Connor Breton right there with them, going to be third. So small pack, but a lot of speed, it appears, as 3 of these 4 cars will be starting in the top 3 positions tomorrow at 1 p.m. Eastern. Waiting for the session to conclude. As I'm looking at the order here, there are a lot of playoff drivers going to be starting rear of the field, including last week's winner, Daniel Voiles. And you got a clump of them down there in Destin Bolin, RJ Bishop, Carson Gum outside of the top 35. Session complete. And Michael Norman is going to capture the pole position, clocking in at a 43.915. Cody, the only other one in the sub 44 second bracket with a 923. So 8 1,000ths separated those two for the pole position. Michael is going to get his third pole of season 8, and it will be an all Floridian front row at a Florida racetrack here tomorrow afternoon. Connor Breton and Austin LaPlante jumped up into the top 10 late. So a couple of Northeast Motorsports Chevrolets going to share row number 2. Mentioned Nick Gunther. He was 10th on the board with about a minute left in the session, and then he moved up to 5th. So he'll be the highest starting of the playoff drivers, the only playoff driver starting this race inside of the top 10. He'll share that third row with Dylan Poteet. Mazdas look like they got some speed. Anthony McCurry going to start 7th with Eric Sadler in 8th. Zachary Fitzwater there in 9th. And we'll have 3 of the Northeast Motorsports Chevrolets inside of the top 10 as Casey Hoyt is going to get the 10th starting position. Go to 14th where you find our next playoff contender. That will be Reggie Fogelman. Jack Mitchell will start this race from 20th. Alexander Rowe in 22nd. And then, as I mentioned, we had a quartet of playoff drivers way down in the starting lineup. Daniel Voiles going to start 35th, but again, he's locked into the final 4. So really, for him, where he starts, I don't think really affects him. They obviously want speed out of the 26 car down this home stretch of the round of 8 in preparation for the race at Michigan, but it's not going to penalize them if they start at the rear of the field. Drivers that we will be keeping an eye on here when the green flag drops tomorrow: Destin Bolin 38th, RJ Bishop 39th, and Carson Gum in 40th. Both Bolin and Bishop out of Young Motorsports, so it looks like they didn't exactly have the qualifying speed as an organization here today. Outside of Eric Sadler, Dylan Young ended up qualifying in 26th. So we'll have to keep an eye. 98-1902. How long does it take for them to work their way up through the field? Remember, Carson came into this race below the cut line. Destin Bolin was the cut line, and RJ Bishop was just above the cut line. So some interesting storylines there for those three, as well as all the rest of the playoff drivers that aren't already locked into the Final Four. Where they start, is that where they'll finish? Will we see one of our remaining 7 playoff drivers that are not yet locked into the Final Four win their way into the Final Four at Michigan? The odds are not in their favor, but we'll have to see if they can overcome those said odds. Coming up later on this afternoon at 3, it's the Light Series drivers getting ready for their race here from Daytona. They've only got 2 more races left to determine their Final Four, and nobody is yet locked in. And then tomorrow afternoon here at 1, it's the Cup Series drivers to cap off our second trip to Daytona here in Season 8. Hope you guys enjoyed this qualifying session. If you did, be sure to give a like, subscribe, part of the crew today. We have shown you your starting lineup for tomorrow afternoon's race here from at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Whether you join us later on this afternoon for Lights or tomorrow afternoon for Cup, I'm Seth Cole, and you've been watching another broadcast courtesy of NNSCRA TV, offline racing at its best.
The following has been a presentation of NNSCRA TV for the private use of our audience. Any other use of this telecast or any pictures, descriptions, or accounts of the game without the consent of the NNSCRA is prohibited. NNSCRA would like to thank all of our loyal fans, and we hope you enjoyed today's broadcast.